Well, welcome to Ingrid's World. My name is Ingrid Paris Hicklin. On this show, meet Joseph Berninger. He is a founder and executive director of Cooperative for Education, Co-Ed, an international nonprofit dedicated to breaking the cycle of poverty in Guatemala through education. Over the past 2 decades, Joe has grown the organization from a textbook cooperative in a single Guatemalan school to operation in more than 200 schools throughout the country. Co-Ed has served more than 225,000 students, in addition to partnership with Rotary International, Microsoft, and the Obama Foundation. And in 2020, Co-Ed received the Library of Congress Literacy Award for Best Practices in its Sparks Reading Program. Well, welcome to the show, Joe. So happy to have you here.
Hello, Ingrid. It's great to be here.
You see this first slide, and let's first tell about yourself and about how you got involved.
So I am here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I have 2 teenage sons, a daughter, our dog at home. We're beautiful fall colors here in Cincinnati. I'm a Rotarian. I'm a member of the Ohio Pathways Rotary Club, and I'm one of the founders of the Guatemala Literacy Project, as you just mentioned. I come from an education family. So my parents were both teachers. So I grew up in a household where on a school day, we all went to school. So my dad was the science teacher, my mom was the history teacher. And they imbued in me from a very early age an understanding of the power of education to transform people's lives. So I've dedicated a big section of my life to trying to open up those opportunities for other people.
You know, seeing those role models and growing up with that and seeing your parents as educators, you know the power of education. So why Guatemala as opposed to any other country? Why Guatemala?
So Guatemala is this island of illiteracy in our hemisphere. So a lot of people don't realize that right here in the Western Hemisphere, we have a place where still 1 out of every 3 people cannot read. So it's an island of literacy. All the countries in the region have progressed. Guatemala has stayed behind. So it's where the need is. On a personal level, I had a connection there. My uncle was a missionary there back in the 60s. And I used to go to Guatemala to visit my Uncle Dave. And so little by little, I got drawn in. My younger brother joined me in 1996 down in Guatemala. And he got a job teaching English at a school. So a little story there, he said, okay, I will teach English at a Guatemalan grade school. And it's no problem, right? Because I'll just stay 1 chapter ahead in the book from the students. I speak English, this shouldn't be hard, right?
Right.
And so he got into his classroom on the first day, and he said there were 50 sets of brown eyes looking back at me. And I said, okay, where are the books? ¿Dónde están los libros? And they said, they just looked at me. They said, well, maybe my Spanish isn't good enough. Maybe they can't understand how I'm saying this. I'll try it again. ¿Dónde están los libros? Where are the books? Finally, a kid put his hand up and said, Senor, there are no books here. No books in the school.
Wow.
So he learned that not only was it the English class, it was all the classes. And not only was it that school, it was all the schools. 95% of schools in the country of Guatemala have no books. He called me up. He said, Joe, we need to start a nonprofit. We need to get books into the hands of kids in Guatemala in these schools. So that was 1996. The next year, we formed a partnership with Rotary called the Guatemala Literacy Project. It started in 1 school, and now, as you said, we're in over 200 schools.
Wow, wow. So let's talk about why is it so important, the Guatemala literacy? Why is this project so important?
So it's, literacy is the foundation of all later learning. And because of that, it's the foundation of prosperity. If people are going to get out of poverty, they have to have minimal skills. And one of those, and the most fundamental skill there is the ability to read. And so until we give those opportunities to people in Guatemala, we really have no hope in them getting out of poverty.
Right, right, right. And it just makes sense. So the Guatemala Literacy Project, they're bridging this gap in education. And we have a couple of slides of that. Talk about this gap in education, that they're filling this gap, your program.
So there's a huge gap. I often call it the cliff. Okay, so lots of kids in Guatemala go to school to the end of grade school. So down there, that is to the 6th grade. So you've got lots and lots of kids go to school to the end of 6th grade. Education is still free at that level, and they get up to that point and they can't afford to continue. You have to start paying money to go to school after the 6th grade. So kids stand there at the end of a cliff and they can't go further. But we know from our research, we know from our statistics that what we need to do is get them up to the 12th grade, to high school diploma, high school graduation. And we know if we do that, we'll get them out of poverty.
Wow. So how does this all happen? How do you make this happen in terms of, bridging this? So you're making this occur, how does that occur? What's the process?
So that's a great question. People often say that poverty is difficult. It's an intractable problem, so why bother? And I say that poverty is actually easy. Solving poverty is easy as long as you begin with kids and simply give them a chance to go to school, make sure they learn some important things while they're there, and make sure they graduate from high school. So the way we work this is basically as simple. We just give kids scholarships. And the scholarship is that critical bridge that they need to get from 6th grade to 12th grade.
Wow. So tell us about the concept of educating one child can change the world. I love that slide that you were showing. What is that about? One child changing the world.
So I think there's and we see this in Guatemala, we've seen it over 25 years, that there's a huge ripple effect that comes from just educating one child. And so in the scholarship program right now, we're graduating about 200 children a year, graduating them from high school. So these are kids that are going back to very small rural villages, and no one in these villages has ever gone to high school. Okay, but this year we're graduating 200. Next year, 200 more, 200 more, 200 more. It's like drip, drip, drip. It's like water filling a bucket. Pretty soon, attitudes start to change. You go from not knowing anybody who has a high school diploma to not knowing anybody who doesn't have a high school diploma. Changing families that way changes the community. Changing the community changes the country. Changing the country changes the world. Huge ripple effect by educating just one kid.
And that's really powerful. So you just see starting that way and how it's expanding. So where are the RISE programs located? They're all in Guatemala. And so where are they located throughout the country?
So they're all west of Guatemala City in what we call the Western Highlands region. And that is the place where simply poverty is the highest and literacy is the lowest.
Wow. Poverty is the highest and literacy is the lowest. My goodness.
So still 1 in 3 can't read.
Wow. So and what's the data on active programs in terms of how many active programs you have?
So the Guatemala Literacy Project, as we said before, began in one school. It's now in over 200 schools. And there are over 200 self-sustaining textbook programs. We've got 93 programs where we're teaching teachers to become master instructors. And the idea is they're working with their kids so that they read better, faster, and earlier through a methodology that we teach them.
Oh my goodness.
Computer centers are educating 14,000 kids a day, and then 730 children on scholarship.
Okay, so I just heard something really powerful. You went from a program in the 1990s where there was no book, and now you're telling me computer programs? You have computer programs there now?
So one thing builds on another, and what you realize is that and this is responding to the needs of the communities themselves, that you come in with a load of textbooks and they say, thank you, we need these books. We need these books terribly because we need the kids to be reading and practicing their readings. But is there any way we can get a computer? Because we perceive that we're falling behind. The whole world is getting connected and we're being left out. So to respond to that need that's coming out of the communities, we started setting up computer centers back in 2000. So it went from all books, and it started out being called the Guatemala Textbook Project, but pretty soon it changed to the Guatemala Literacy Project, because it's not just books. It's traditional literacy, technological literacy. And then to get that literacy, in both cases, you need both materials and equipment, but you also need to change people's behavior, and you need to empower teachers to teach better. So much of what the Guatemala Literacy Project does is train teachers and give them an opportunity to become really professional master teachers. And it's just amazing to see how they transform their classrooms.
I mean, wow, powerful. So now, tell us about the worldwide support of the Guatemala Literacy Program. You show the families. I know that you spoke to my Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Tyson's Corner in Virginia. Tell us about this family that you've created.
So yeah, that is the right word. We call it a family. We call it the family within the family of Rotary. And it is a huge network of Rotarians, Rotary clubs, and just interested parties. So not everybody is involved in Rotary. If you share Rotary's vision of service above self and helping the world through literacy and education and so forth, you can become part of this. But it is over 600 Rotary clubs from 80 Rotary districts. We're in 8 countries. And the project is currently supporting over 220,000 children in Guatemala.
Wow.
So every year it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And as I often say, do you believe that it's possible for 1 or 2 or 3 people to change the world? You know, can a small group of people, small group of Rotarians, other people change the world? And I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
I think our power as humans is our collective power. It's working together. And when we combine all that talent, all that treasure, and all that resource, we can truly move mountains.
You know, I think that's what really just struck me, you know, when I was reading it about your project, and it was a picture, I believe that was you and your brother is on one of your websites. And I saw that, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's grown this. You know, that it's affecting an entire country. That's pretty amazing. The impact.
I get to do the fun part. We get to be the channel for all of that talent and all those great people that are involved in this.
Yeah, I think that's really has been the real impact of it. As Rotary it's one thing, definitely. I agree with you. If you're not in Rotary, that's fine, but you can help. And I think everyone wants to make a difference, you know, and to see, when I was looking at some of the pictures, and just to realize that Guatemala is really not that far from us, you know, and you think about—
No, it's not.
So I'm going like, okay, so this is really right here in our backyard, and we have an opportunity to help, you know, a country. What has been your greatest satisfaction of being the founder of this program, one of the founders?
I say the greatest satisfaction is seeing that it's not just a theory that you can help people get out of poverty through education. It started as a theory, it started as a hope, but I've been around long enough, 25 years, to see the fruit emerge from the seeds. So it's been very gratifying to see over 25 years statistically that we've worked together with others to reduce the rate of illiteracy in the whole country of Guatemala from 2 out of every 3 people illiterate to just 1 in 3. So it's still bad. We still have a ways to go, right? But it's a 50% reduction in the rate of illiteracy in an entire country, not far from the United States, in 25. So big change is possible if we work together.
I think that's what really the real thing about working together and making that change. We have like a picture, and I don't know whether or not there's a story behind this, but it looks like the child has graduated and standing with their parents. Do you ever get a chance to talk and speak with the parents that have now this new graduate in their family?
Oh yeah, Ingrid, that's one of the most exciting experiences you can have is to watch the parents. And a lot of times the parents are themselves illiterate, and their children are the first in the family ever to graduate from not only high school, but all the levels. You finish grade school, junior high, high school. Some of them go on for a year or two of college. Wow. And to see the pride, and a lot of those parents, I'll have visited them over the years, and every time I bring them paperwork, they sign it with a thumbprint because they can't even write their own name. And here they have a child who's a college graduate.
Wow.
Their kids go on and often are making 4 or 5 times more than the parents. The kids help their younger siblings get educated. Over 90% of them that finish our program get jobs within the first year that they're out. And to see the pride in the parents' eyes when their children accomplish these great things is just amazing. And I love sitting there. I love being part of it. And it is one of the most gratifying parts of the whole project.
You know, when I was looking at it and then seeing the impact of it, it was pretty amazing to think that that's what you're doing there and helping so many families. Someone's watching this and they're saying, I really want to get involved. What's the first step of getting involved in something like this?
So there's a whole bunch of ways. You can find the project on the internet and just get on our mailing list. So if you just Google Guatemala Literacy, our website will come up, Guatemala Literacy Project. And you can go right to the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, and we'll keep you up to date on the great progress that's happening in Guatemala and also opportunities to become more involved. You can come down to Guatemala personally on one of our trips. So we bring about 150 volunteers down a year, and you help deliver books. You help plug in and set up the computer labs and dedicate the computer labs. You get to do literacy activities with the kids. You get to visit the scholarship students in their homes. It's a great way to do service on the ground in Guatemala. Wow. We've paused now for about 2 years because of the pandemic, but we're opening it all back up. So we'll be bringing big groups down again in 2022.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's going to be picking right back up again. Oh, that's very good to hear. So you've been able to grow it. You do presentations throughout the country. Tell us about getting the award from the Library of Congress. I mean, when I read that, I was like stunned. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That was unexpected, and we're really feel thankful that we received that. But it's a recognition of the hard work of a lot of people on the ground in Guatemala. It is a approach to teaching kids to read that involves we call it the magic literacy formula. It's intensive training for a teacher plus a rich library for the classroom. And you add those two together and the kids start reading at about twice the speed as before the program.
You're kidding me.
So it gets kids reading better with greater comprehension, faster and earlier, which is the goal. The program was designed by a Rotarian. And so it's a great project, and that's what the Library of Congress recognized us for with an award for excellence in literacy.
So how many volunteers would you estimate that you've had coming through your doors?
So over the years, we've had going directly to Guatemala over 1,000. In the broader family of the Guatemala Literacy Project, it's been tens of thousands of people over 25 years.
Oh my goodness!
And once you're a member, you're a member. You are part of the family, and we're a great group. We get together at conventions. We stay close, and anyone who's listening, we would welcome you to become part of this family.
Because you know what happened is that when I was doing my research and I was looking at your website, I immediately said, my club better be listed. If not, they're going to have to make sure Thankfully, I looked at it and I saw the Rotary Club of Tyson's Corner listed. I'm like, yeah, okay, we're doing this. Because I think that that's when you hear it, and then you hear the fact that, and what I have to just say, kudos to your parents, but also to your Uncle Dave that you visited. Oh my goodness, that was your inspiration.
Yeah, he went and dedicated a big part of his life to making the country better also.
As a missionary.
Yeah, as a missionary.
So, just to say that, so if we see something, there is a way that we can help. And I think that that's probably what's so powerful that I find inspiring. So, as we...
In a great way to, what's inspiring to everyone, and if people get involved, is you get connected to the stories of the kids in Guatemala, and that's the thing that really energizes me every day when I get to see kids who started out here, they get an education, they end up over here, and I can tell you some of those stories if we have time.
Oh my goodness! So give me a little nugget of one story.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to. So I'll tell you the story of Juan. So he was one of the first young kids I met when I first went to Guatemala. And I met him at a library inauguration. So we were there with Rotary and we were setting up a library at a school. And I remember Juan well. He was a little second grader, but he was the only kid in the crowd who knew how to play Duck, Duck, Goose. So we set up this library and you always have free time with the kids. And I went up to him and I said, do you know how to play Pato, Pato, Ganso, Duck, Duck, Goose? And I flapped my arms like this. And he said, sí, Pato, Pato, Ganso, Pato, Pato, Ganso. I can play Duck, Duck, Goose. So he got all the kids going. We got all the Rotarians going. We played Duck, Duck, Goose, and we had a great time. We learned after that game that Juan, even though he was a bright kid, intelligent, and he was in second grade, it was going to be his last year in school.
Oh my goodness.
Like so many other kids in Guatemala, he was dropping out of school because his parents could not afford to send him on. Okay, he was standing at the edge of that cliff. He didn't even make it all the way to sixth grade. We got him on a Rotary-funded RISE scholarship. And we got him through third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. In sixth grade, he hit a roadblock. He failed math. And in Guatemala, if you fail math, you fail the year. And so poor Juan failed the year. He wanted to drop out. It meant he was in his little brother's class after that. And with all these kids, he's a head taller than them. We convinced him to stay. He went on to high school finally. But another roadblock, there was no high school in his village because no one went to high school. He had to get on a bus and ride an hour to the next town. But he persevered. He made it through. So after 12 years, he graduated from high school. He's the first one in his family. Today, he makes 4 times more than his dad. He manages a hotel in Santiago Atitlan, his hometown. He has a wife and child, and he is solidly middle class.
Solidly middle class. Wow. Yeah, that's a gold nugget. that's a beautiful story. And I think that that's what it's all about, how you help people. My goodness. Well, Joe, I just cannot thank you enough for being on the show and sharing with our viewers the wonderful work that you're doing and the wonderful Rotarians and the many clubs and organizations that are helping the Literacy Project in Guatemala. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Well, I hope our viewers, I hope you learned a lot about the Guatemala Literacy Project. I hope you'll get involved. It's been inspiring, and I'm really thankful that I had the opportunity to bring it to all of you out there. So my inspirational quote is from Rotary. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I hope you enjoyed the show just as much as I did in producing it. I am grateful for your support. So connect with me on Facebook at Ingrid's World or follow the show at Ingrid's World VA in Twitter and Instagram. And if you miss an episode, you can watch the show on Ingrid's World LLC YouTube channel or ingridsworld.org. Thanks for watching.